Welcome to Historic Georgetown in Washington, D.C. I've been personally very excited to visit this neighborhood. I came here many years ago when I visited when I was a young teenager, and I was absolutely mesmerized by this neighborhood. It was always my favorite one, especially due to its beautiful architecture, wonderful array of food and shops. And today we're going to explore just that: the architecture, the food, the shops, the historic Georgetown University, and also learn about a haunted staircase. I'm Ariel, you're watching Urbanist, and today let's explore historic Georgetown. We're starting our tour today with a coffee recommendation. Right here across the block is Street Coffee, which was absolutely amazing cup of espresso I had just before this broadcast. So that's my number one recommendation before we start walking around, because I needed some coffee in order to get hyped up for a battle of the cupcakes. I'll tell you a little bit more about that soon. Let's walk through historic Georgetown. So here we're encountering some newer development in Georgetown, yet it's still maintaining the aesthetic of the historic houses we're going to see soon. But Georgetown is also historically a commercial area, and hence we're right by commercial buildings that were in use in the 1800s. Here's the Canal House. So let's take a look at the canal. Hello Mark, hello Mags, Kathy, nice to see you here from tuning in. Anna, they have a canal in Georgetown. Oh yes they do. And we're starting right here at the very canal. Hello B. Griffin, Judith, Stephanie, nice to see you here. So we are starting at the canal that runs through Georgetown for 184 miles. It runs along the Potomac River, which I'm very curious as to why in canals, what was the thinking behind making the canal right next to the river. But its main use was to service a lot of the tobacco farms along this area, and there's also a lot of other industries. However, it never really became a really popular canal, mostly because the railroad immediately followed its construction. This finished construction in 1850, and the railroad was already full in business, and it was already bypassing this area of Georgetown, because this area of Georgetown is pretty high up. The interesting thing is, this was the highest elevation that anyone can really go by ship. And that's very interesting, because John Smith, this was the very limit, historic Georgetown, when he first came to this area of the United States of America. He had to continue off by foot after this point. Now, the railroads actually stopped going to, they went through Baltimore and went through downtown DC and never really came to here, and hence the industry and the commercial district of this area kind of fell down in the 1800s. However, this very area is called the Dead Man's Beat, because shortly after the Civil War, one officer who was a Civil War hero decided to become a police officer in historic Georgetown, and his patrol was here along the canal while it was somewhat thriving or still, in use. But he wanted to quit. He was a hardened soldier, and yet he was terrified of walking this very canal. But why? Let's walk. Ooh, all right. Hello, Irene. Hello, Laureen. Irene and Laureen. I love how that rhymes. Hello, Lori. B. Griffin. Judith. Docio. Lee, why are you sunburned? Lee, because there's the sun and one gets burned. It happens. It's normal. All right, so here, why did he call this the Dead Man's Beat? Here we get a little bit better view of the canal. Well, according to this ex-Civil War hero, now officer doing a patrol along the canal, he said that he saw an apparition late at night. But let me show you how the canal looked like before. I think they forgot to add water to the canal. Yeah, the canal pretty much wasn't in use, not much after it was built. So this is what the canal looked like more back in the 1850s. But yeah, as you can see right now, there's barely any water. I don't think it even gets that filled up with water. Maybe in certain sections it is. Anyone let me know if you have walked along Georgetown before. And of course we see the view of the Potomac, which we're going to see soon. Let's go around here and wiggle around. Hello, May. Nice to see you here. So really cool collection of restaurants built in these formerly industrial buildings, and public seating as well. It's really, really cool vibes. I really love this. Ooh, and you can actually walk down to the canal. It's a really miserable looking canal. It is. It is a very miserable looking canal. Very, very miserable looking. Let's go about 20 something or so years, maybe a little bit longer. I don't know exactly how much. To a man coming during the middle of the day to a pharmacy. His name was Ernest Graham. He came to the pharmacy of Mr. William Williams. Yep, that was his name. And this is based on real history. Mr. William Williams was trying to be cordial, you know, being polite to Ernest Graham, but he ended up noticing that Ernest Graham was probably the man fooling around with his wife. Graham was, of course, pretending not to. He wanted to not let on that that was the case. But William Williams knew. The moment he found out, the moment he felt that this was indeed the man fooling around with his wife, he was filled with rage. He took out a razor and slashed him across the face, and slashed him again so much that his lip was hanging off. Graham tried to run for his dear life, and he tried to run on this very canal. According to that hardened veteran of the Civil War, he saw the ghost of Ernest Graham still walking along with a razor, maybe trying to fight back to William Williams. Or maybe the ghost was the ghost of William Williams, still raging from beyond the grave. Regardless of who the ghost was, that veteran did not want to work here anymore, and thus he quit. Let's walk down to the waterfront, to the harbor. So this is the street we were, and here's the Sweet Green. Now, Sweet Green, you know, wouldn't be really like anything particularly interesting, but the one interesting thing about Sweet Green, it's a very popular chain also now in New York City. I've actually done a video in Sweet Green before. It was about like 3 years ago. And it started here by 3 guys who went to college together. And it's now like a very, very highly valued company. Let's check out Grace Church over here. So alleyways. Cupcakes money. Oh, okay. Kathy says, oh dear. I love Ariel's little dramatic pushes with the camera. I'm glad you do. LLB Griffin, like this. Oh no, Chris, no details, please. Oh, here it is. This is Grace Church, built in 1850. Designed by the man who made the great St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City, James Renwick. He also made the Smithsonian Castle, which I featured a few days ago at the Washington Mall. So here's James Renwick himself. And I love St. Patrick's, and I love the Smithsonian Castle, but wow, this church is pretty. Lee, what university did I attend? I did not go to Georgetown, no. I went to City College of New York. Renwick is everywhere. Yeah, he has his fingerprints everywhere. So this one looks like really like a little English church. Something you would find in a small town England. Beautiful, I love it. Let's zoom in on the details. Stained glass. Elisa, thank you. It's very cute and nice architecture, says Lori. Yeah, it is very cute and nice architecture. I love the red door. It's just magnificent. This is a really like beautiful, picturesque church. Dare I say, it's even Instagrammable. Oh yeah. Watch out, Instagrammers. This might be the perfect church with that little red door. Will you eat at Filomena's? Amazing Italian food, says Jeannie. Oh, cool. Thank you for the recommendation. We're definitely going to eat cupcakes. And maybe I'll feature another food if we bump into something. Thank you for the recommendation. Is it open to go inside? Usually with Episcopal churches, no. Let's see. I'll double check. But usually Episcopal churches aren't open. This is Episcopal. Yeah. Security. No, you have to ask for permission or wait until there's a service. It's even Filmesque. Well, Elisa, we're actually going to see some Filmesque locations soon around Georgetown University. But in the meanwhile, here's some Halloween decorations. And look at this, a Ritz-Carlton Hotel built in a former industrial building. We even see the smokestack behind it. Manolito says, try Filomena. If you can, you'll love it. Ooh, okay. Thank you for the recommendations. Glad a few people enjoy them. So look at that amazing hotel built in a former industrial building. So cool. Yeah, Lori, you know, there's so many beautiful Episcopal and Anglican churches, but it's such a shame that they don't open them, unlike Catholic churches. So Ritz-Carlton of Georgetown. Hey, Kylie. gives a $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Kylie. $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much. You're sponsoring part of the Cupcakes in the great Cupcake War of 2020. Oh yeah, it's coming. Stay tuned. We're pitting 2 cupcakes against each other. For that, let's walk a few more blocks. Meanwhile, let's enjoy the architecture. Let's enjoy the peace before the storm. How was your evening? Says Lori. Did you have a good dinner? I got super full from that meal that I featured yesterday. So I just ate the leftovers and read a little bit of haunted history, learned about the making of The Exorcist, which we're going to talk about soon. Julio says it's no longer the war of the cupcakes. No, things are getting heated. Things are baking up. The dough is rising. I love the shirts you wear, says Tara. Oh, I'm glad, Tara. Esperando para ver la competencia, dice Natalia. Oh, qué bien. La competencia va a ser bien fuerte. It's going to be a very strong competition. Let's take the scenic route towards the cupcake shop and check out the waterfront. One of the highways that passes through Georgetown. An airplane. We have come a long way since Ding Dongs. You can eat the cupcakes at the waterfront. Probably not for this particular tour because I'm already walking towards the waterfront. So we're gonna eat the cupcakes a little bit into the town. This is Washington Harbor, built in the 1980s. And has that typical kind of avant-garde, late mid-century modern architecture. This is how it looked like before. Awkward architecture, yeah. I've never been too much of a fan of this type of kind of looks like a mall. And we all know that malls in the US are not the pinnacle of architecture. There's a nice seafood restaurant at least. An airplane, it's an endangered species now. It is quite an endangered species. Here we have the mighty Potomac. We see people canoeing on the Potomac. There in the distance, oh yes, there in the distance. It's gonna be hard to get even a closer look. To walk a lot more. Oh, we see a family of geese or ducks. I can't quite tell. But there we see 3 little islands. You see them? Let me know if you see them. Right under the arc of that bridge. The boat is heading towards that direction. That's the 3 little sisters. This was the very high point where John Smith in the 1600s was able to take his boat upriver of the Potomac. He had to stop there and continue up by foot. And he noticed that there were Indian tribes, American Indian or Native American tribes, here. But the lore of these three little islands go way, way back. Apparently, they are haunted because if you come here late at night and pass by those, what they call the Three Little Sisters, you will hear a large wailing scream. But what does that wailing scream come from? So there's many, many legends tied to these three little sisters, but one of them is about a woman who's going across that mouth of the tiny little area of the river, because one side was one Native American tribe and the other side was a competing rival tribe. And the rival tribe kidnapped her brother, and thus she went across the water by canoe to try to get him back. Something happened to her, something dark. The legend takes many different directions from that point, but the point is that late at night, people still say that her wailing screams are heard on those three little sisters. Of course, there's many other legends associated with them. They used to be tiny, a little bit bigger islands apparently, but as the river has changed throughout the past few centuries, they've gotten very tiny. What is her name? Oh, she definitely had a name. Her name is escaping me though. It was not Pocahontas though. That story takes place in a different part of Virginia, not here. I think John Smith came here before he ended up formally meeting Pocahontas. Is this the Potomac? Yes, it is. Screen on FB is crisp, but not in sync. Oh, yeah. Is my audio in sync, or is it there's a delay between what you see and on YouTube versus Facebook? Let me know. So interesting architecture. Beautiful fountain though. Nice collection of restaurants. Someone earlier mentioned about the restaurant. What was mentioned? Hello Cynthia, nice to see you here. I went to St. Patrick's recently, says Judith. Oh cool, I'm glad you managed to go inside. Fiola Mar, I ate there, it's fantastic, says Manolito. Oh Manolito, you've ate quite many places. That's awesome. Many restaurants here. If anyone has recommendations, let us know. Okay, so the boat is running. We're gonna get on the boat, go up the Potomac, and we are no longer doing Georgetown. We're going up to Maryland. I'm just joking. Though, if anyone does have a boat and wants to offer us a ride, let me know. Is this a dangerous town? No, not at all. Georgetown is a very high-end area. Get on the boat, says Lori. Oh, how I wish I knew someone with a boat. I would buy a boat on my own, but I wouldn't want to take care of it. So I wish I knew a friend who had a boat. That would be nice. Ariel, the sound and image is impeccable, says Elisa. Oh, glad. Wait, are you driving the boat or do you not have a license, says Adam? Nope, no, I'm just joking. Don't actually have a boat. All right, let's go back into the main town. Swanky. Yeah, it is swanky. That's a good word for it. The swanky neighborhood. Monica Lewinsky lived in the apartments behind me. Oh, Mr. Jones, thank you for letting us know. That's interesting fact. Monica Lewinsky used to live here. The intern who worked for Bill Clinton had a short but very heated affair with her. When you have 1 million subscribers, you will be able to buy a boat and keep it, says Julio. Okay, Julio. I'm here for the cupcake. Oh, the cupcake is coming. People are excited for cupcakes. That's so awesome. Oh my God, a ghostly Zoltar. Oh, so cool. So this machine was featured in the movie Big with Tom Hanks. I think that's the machine that gives them the wish to get older. And it was a machine in many different American cities. Definitely in New York. Maybe in many other American cities. Maybe people remember when they were more around. It was like a fortune teller. And this is like a ghostly version of Zoltar. Well, apparently Zoltar has lost a little bit of skin. He's gotten a little bit too sunburned. $1. Don't do it. Zoltar is bad. Wish on it. Ghostly Zoltar. Cool Halloween decorations here in this plaza. Wow. This seems to be a great spot to come for Halloween. Are you right at the Potomac? Yep. There's the Potomac. So Potomac actually is pretty big. I'll show you its flood basin. It runs for many miles, and the reason there was interest in building a canal here in Georgetown was because Virginia is considered a southern state. This was below the Mason-Dixon line, which was an arbitrary line set by the early American colonies to designate between North and South. Maryland is the most southern northern state. Virginia is the most northern southern state. The Potomac, right over here, which we see across the water, right here, that is the gateway to the west in early American history. But the railroads end up being much more useful for that. The building's not so beautiful. It seems neoclassical combined with modernism. Yep. Very, very strange kind of wiggly style to it. No hoverboarding. No hoverboarding. Damn it. I had my hoverboard and now I can't use it. Nightmare in Georgetown. Hey Vic, hey Deborah. There is no metro in Georgetown. No, there is no metro in Georgetown. Thank you for letting us know, Chris. No, unfortunately not. The only way to get here is by bus. Luckily, there's a lot more buses now, but the closest metro, I think, is about 20-minute walk. And it's uphill as well, so it's not even a pleasant walk, in my opinion. Georgetown does have a ferry service. That's good to know. I wish the ferries were running. So let's walk around Georgetown back again. We just took a nice detour to the waterfront harbor and we're walking to our first food stop. Now, in my plan for Georgetown, this has always been part of the plan since the very beginning of time. I was going to visit Georgetown Cupcake. But then I received the message from a fellow urbanist saying, don't go to Georgetown. Go to this place that we're heading to right now. It's way better. And at first I was like, really? Really? Some other business is claiming to be better than the legendary Georgetown Cupcake? Well, I looked at the reviews and I wasn't disappointed. It seems like they are very good. And hence, I'm going to put it to the test. Some wars start from economic motives. Other wars are fought for ideals. But this war is fought between two great cupcakes of Georgetown. Cupcakes, one that has become known to all the tourists that come here, and another cupcake that seems to be a place mostly for locals. And hence the line is forming outside, baked and wired. So let's wait in front of the line. Am I walking uphill? Yes, I am. So I did not expect this. I did not expect the line for this cupcake shop. But let's go and enter the war of the cupcakes. So hopefully it won't take too long. Cross our fingers. If there's a line here, there probably is a line also in Georgetown. Oh, the lines of cupcakes. You know, cupcake phenomenon really became popular after the Sex and the City, this HBO series about 4 women living in New York, end up eating a cupcake in one of the pivotal episodes where 2 of the main characters break up with their respective boyfriends, and she's eating Magnolia's cupcake in the West Village, and it's like a red velvet cupcake, which they were famous for for locals at that time. But once the show came out, ended up becoming a very popular cupcake spot for tourists also, anyone who wanted to visit New York City. And then suddenly another cupcake shop came out, Crumb's Cupcake. At the same time that Crumb's Cupcake came out, Georgetown also popped up here. Georgetown took this area by storm with their cupcakes, and Crumb's took the nation by storm with cupcakes. The reason that Crumb's was famous nationally was because they sold gigantic cupcakes. Huge cupcakes. So, once cupcakes started taking over all the US, it became a massive craze where there was huge lines outside Magnolia, outside the many Crumbs. There was like 2 main Crumbs in New York City. The first one was around the New York University area, and then it popped up another one right by Times Square. And of course, Georgetown over here. But of course, with all good food trends, it trended down. And Crumb's went bankrupt. I don't think it's no longer around. Someone tried to buy it. I'm not sure if they brought it back yet, but I don't think it's no longer around. And Magnolia became more famous for their banana pudding. But the legacy of the cupcake has remained alive and well here in Georgetown. So let's check it out. Hey, Stephanie. Hello, Ariel and Lorraine. Hello, Julio. Sex and the City made Magnolia's famous. It did make Magnolia's famous. Okay, you don't mind waiting for your cupcake. Oh, I'm glad. Yes, Carrie, my show, Sex and the City, says Tara. You need a lot of energy for today's streamy lives. I do. So Georgetown cupcakes are Julius Caesar, and this is Marcus Aurelius. Says first was more known, but the second was better. Maybe, Manolito, maybe. We'll put it to the test. So Sex and the City starting the cupcake craze? Yes. Though cupcakes were known, of course, beforehand, and there were probably shops in local cities that were known. Magnolia's was known for the red velvet before Sex and the City, but I think Sex and the City really put it into the mainstream. Along with Crumbs opening up in many cities around the US and then later on basically in every single mall. Hey Joe, what to FB to share and then came here on YouTube. Joe, I do appreciate that. Joe is a legend for sharing my videos on Facebook along with all the other Facebook sharers. Thank you so much. Gayatri is another one. Kay is another one. Share my videos. Thank you so much. And the native New Yorker visits the foreign territory of Washington metro area. Indeed I am. And I like the banana pudding. Oh, I'm so glad you do. And Kay and Mr. Joe says, Foggy Bottom received its name due to its low-lying foggy area, which once had industrial smoke combined with fog and hence Foggy Bottom. Yes, Georgetown probably had a similar fog. Tried Magnolia once. I have to give it another chance, says Manolito. Magnolia, it went a little bit downhill for a few years, but recently it's gotten pretty damn good. Chris, not that type of channel. Are there any museums in that area we may visit today? Lori, there's only one main museum open, is the Dumbarton House. And no, I won't be visiting it. Apparently it's very tiny, it's very small. So probably not well worth the visit. Unless if you really love house museums. And Scott, you want a Hallows Eve cupcake with candy corn. Ooh, interesting. Well, we're pitting red velvet versus red velvet. Let's see if they have also a Halloween one. And cupcakes are God's gift, says Elisa. Once I ate them in Belgrade, Serbia, and they were delicious. Indeed. Yeah, cupcakes are amazing. I absolutely love cupcakes. I was a huge fan of Crumbs when it first came out. Michael says, I don't know while I'm watching, but this is kind of nice. We're waiting for cupcakes. Michael, welcome. Washington Metro must be one of those peripheral areas squeezed around the edge of the NYC, according to the New Yorker. B. Griffin. Oh, interesting. A New Yorker said that. Hey, Joe. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I do appreciate it. Thank you. He says, cupcake on me for your great source. Okay, Joe has sponsored part of the cupcake as well. Thank you. So let me know, which is your favorite cupcake that you've tried thus far, ever, in your entire life and existence here in this realm called Earth. Let me know. What's the best cupcake you've ever had? It's been a while since I've been through Georgetown neighborhood, says Brian. Oh, yeah.
Oh, hey.
Last time I've been here, Brian, last time I was here was about 10 years ago. How far is New York from DC? By train, three hours minimum if you take the express train, the Acela. 3 hours and 45 minutes if you take the local train, which is significantly cheaper at $29 US, depending how soon you book it. I booked it about 2 weeks in advance. By driving, I think it's about 4 hours. I think it's a little bit longer driving. Chris, we keep it PG here. horchata cupcake in your local shop, says Mags. Ooh, Mags. And please remind me what area you're watching from. Julio, the best cupcake you had was Magnolia's Bleecker Street location. Oh, yeah. Thing is with Magnolia's, it's no longer kind of home. It's not like independently owned. It's become a pretty big chain, or not big chain, but it's become a chain. And I don't think the owners ever are there. The people who work there are just mostly working, I think, mostly just to make a salary, not because they are hardcore bakers at heart. Unlike some other bake shops, say like Dominic Ansel. So that's why Magnolia's has fallen off a little bit, I think, but it's still really great. Roseanne, I just stumbled upon this channel and will subscribe. You explain everything very well. Oh, thank you, Roseanne. I just had a mini cupcake with rainbow sprinkles on it. Says Happy Check. Oh, cool. Happy Check. From where? Let us know. Mr. Jones says there was an urban myth that Georgetown's hoity-toity, ooh, I like that, very old school American way of saying swanky or stuffy. Wealthy residents prevented a subway station to isolate them from the rest of the city. Yes, that is partly, as you mentioned, that myth is debunked, though I wouldn't doubt there has been pushback, because the DC's metro is supposed to provide service from the suburbs into the center of DC, mostly as a way to avoid, driving a car. But even then, you'll be dependent on a car to park at the rail stop. So it's almost like a commuter rail, in essence. And Georgetown did not want that. They did not want to make this like a suburban stronghold. So I wouldn't doubt that myth has some truth in it. However, the other factor is that Georgetown is much higher in elevation, as we saw going uphill, and we're going to go even further uphill, than the rest of Washington, D.C., hence making a metro is a little bit more difficult. So we are up next at Baked and Wired. So apparently it's baked because of cupcakes and wired because of coffee.
I know. I was just feeling like I know. It's because like you had that like excitement and then you got brought down. Yeah. That was like the I feel you. I would have felt the same. Yeah. I know, you feel like you want to make a bed. I feel like it's okay. Yeah, and I that was how I felt. And I was like, apologies for like give up.
Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
good. How are you?
Good. Excited to try this.
Yeah.
thank you.
Step right in here
Awesome.
on the left side.
Thank you. Awesome. Wow. Oh, that's interesting. Hi, how's it going? I'll have a red velvet, please. And also I'll have the chocolate doom. Awesome. And an espresso, please.
Espresso?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Can I get a name for your drink?
Ariel.
Ariel. Okay, I can spell that. It might just say Ari.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh, because I can't spell that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. That's okay.
I like your shirt.
Oh, thank you so much.
I try my best.
When did this place open?
20 years ago.
20 years ago. Oh, wow, plenty. Also, was it before Georgetown?
The cupcake place, yeah.
Oh, that is cool.
The world's smallest shop. Right? People are like, look at this bad boy. Right? Like, so you can actually read it and then it's
They go through?
no, this is like, you can try one more time.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that's so aggressive. I'm just having a day, guys.
So let me have a receipt, please. Receipt.
This is for you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Oh, that's what's. Yeah, I think this will be much more though.
Good. Oh, just waiting for coffee. What? Oh, my gimbal. Yeah. This is one of the best. Yeah.
Is this just for your personal page or you would like a?
Oh, I run a food blog called Urbanist.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool. Called what?
Urbanist.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's
About to try the two famous cupcakes against each other.
okay, which ones did you get?
This one I got the red velvet, and then I'm gonna go Georgetown. Try red velvet as
got
well.
you. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I see what's going on. I see what's happening.
See which one stands up to the test.
Well, I'm confident that you will like ours better.
Okay, cool. How long you been working here?
Just a couple weeks.
Oh, cool. Oh. Any other? Is there a third cupcake shop here, or those are the main two?
There's one called Sprinkles, which I believe is pretty popular.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's like right when you get to the end of the block and like look to the right. I believe it's like right over there.
I'm from New York, so that one is from New York. I've had it before.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think the new one that came from New York just opened up the other way.
Oh, Levain?
Yeah, the ones with the cookies.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Cool. That's awesome.
Well, enjoy. I'm definitely gonna look you up, give you a follow.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. So, what do you have coming up over here? Yeah,
I have espresso.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be up in just a few minutes.
Okay, cool. What? No. Yeah, cover. Yeah, that'll be great. Okay. Awesome. Have a great day.
You said Urbanist?
Urbanist. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Cool. Friendly staff. Yeah. Friendly staff. Cool place. They said they were open already 20 years, and that's quite a lot. And apparently, it is longer than Georgetown itself. So I'm gonna bite into this. I would bite into both of them at the same time, but I have a feeling Georgetown is going to be as packed. So let's try this one first. Right by the lovely canal. We're trying right by the very lovely canal. All right, I'm excited. So yeah, that was a cute cupcake shop. I really enjoyed it. I think it was really awesome. Actually, let me put it over here. Is better? There we go. There we go. Okay, that's a lot better. All right, awesome. So I'm gonna try the two cupcakes. Actually, yeah, let me do it here. I'm gonna try the two cupcakes and see how they stand up against each other. Your conference room is ready. Indeed. The picture is very blurred. Oh no, I hope it gets better. Is it bad service? Let me know. All right. I can tell it's from the Virginia Light. Where are you referencing, B. Griffin? And how does it compare to yesterday, I wonder? Let's see, because there's the third cupcake in the competition, Alexandria Cupcake, which I had yesterday. And that is a cool shirt. That girl was right. Yeah, indeed. I always get compliments on the gimbal. Or not compliments on the gimbal, but people are curious about the gimbal. And then, of course, I always get comments about the shirt. And no cash, no cash. So here in the US, be prepared to have some type of credit card because usually there's no cash. All right, first of all, let's try this cupcake. Two cupcakes against each other. Don't drop your gimbal to the canal. Luckily, it's not next to the canal, so I'll be okay. That would be a terrible place to drop a gimbal. The war of the cupcakes have started. Now, these cupcakes are gigantic. Not crumb level, but huge in their own right. So we're pitting. I'll move this. And that's why you tune in, guys, live. Sometimes we'll wait in line. Sometimes we will be showing. It's not edited, so I hope you enjoy it. Here is the 2 cupcakes. Oh, there's like a little pearl on the cupcake. What is that? Is that edible pearl, or is it like a not edible pearl? And that's the chocolate doom, which is chocolate with chocolate ganache. And I got myself an espresso, and it looks like it's a good quality espresso. They have a nice collection of beans from various roasters. Edible fancy pearl, looks like it. So before the coffee gets a little bit too cold. Ooh, nice crema. Look at that. That's good crema. And let's try this out. Oh yeah. That's a mighty cup of espresso. Ooh. Oh yeah. Typical American espresso, which is a little bit brighter. Audio's out of sync. Can anyone let me know if the audio is okay once you refresh the page? Typical espresso, American espresso, very bright. So it's not Italian style. Remember when I talk, usually American style tends to be a bit brighter, a little bit more lighter. Italian style is more darker, more punchier. So this is a very good cup of American espresso. It's so bright. It tastes a little bit fruity, which is awesome. And no sugar on this, no milk. So it's very fruity. It's more kind of fruity, has more notes of like citrusy, more like orange notes to it, rather than chocolatey and nutty as you would have with the Italian cup. Very good, very good. Now let's try the red velvet cupcake. And look at this behemoth. Look how huge this cupcake is. It's gigantic. Wow. All right, let's try this out. Let's unwrap this cupcake. And I love that the wrapping is not your classical wrapping. Fruity coffee. Yeah, fruity, you know, it's like wine, coffee. Coffee has different flavors. It's a much more complicated subject. So once you start having coffee black, if you're used to having coffee with sugar, it's going to be really hard to distinguish the notes. But once you start having coffee black, you'll be able to distinguish the notes between fruity and nutty and chocolatey. And of course, they're all approximations. There's no way to be very specific, unless if you say something more bitter, more sweet. But beyond that, it's more approximations. All right, let's try this out. This is a very different cupcake. The frosting is super creamy. It is cream cheese frosting. And remember I said it was like more cheesier yesterday? It's a matter of speaking, so it's not actually like cheese and like mozzarella, but it's like it tastes more creamier than the icing. This one is a level higher in creaminess of the frosting than yesterday. So cream cheese frosting is very good. Excellent. And the cupcake itself, it's interesting. It is very airy, super airy. It does not taste like your typical very condensed red velvet. It's more airy and more fluffy than the other ones. So it tastes lighter in a good way. It might even be deceptively healthier tasting, which is interesting. So it's a very interesting cupcake. Wow. Yeah. Lots of air bubbles, but it doesn't taste like cheaply made. It's more like a sponge cake, not so moist, but it's more airy, more air bubbles. So the cupcake might look gigantic, but I think they're using the same amount of proportions for all the ingredients, like the flour or the baking soda, whatever. Maybe the sugar and the butter. But when we had that cupcake yesterday from Alexandria, it was more denser red velvet. This one is much more airy. Really great cupcake. Really great cupcake. I am really enjoying this. That airiness is just amazing. And that cream cheese, I'm gonna have another bite of this. If a young George Washington who loved visiting historic Georgetown as he made his way up and down the Potomac River, if George Washington had access to these cupcakes, George Washington might have not looked like George Washington, he might have looked a little bit more like John Adams. That's what I'll say. Great cupcake. Delicious. This, you know what? It's well, I'd say it's better than Alexandria. It's tough. It's tough because in the sense that I want a classic red velvet, this is a bit too airy for a classic red velvet. Classic red velvet has to be more dense. It has to have a little bit of pushback to it when you bite into it. So this is not strictly as classic as Alexandria's red velvet, but it's amazing. Sweetness factor is very high. It's super sweet. They put a whole lot of sugar in here. Alexandria, I can taste a little bit more of the nuances of the cake itself. This one is filled with a whole lot more sugar. So how would I rate this between 1 and 10? All right, so since the war of the cupcakes has officially started, I'd rather actually not rate it yet because I'd rather try Georgetown for a true comparison. So I don't think they used that much red food coloring here. They did. I mean, they used pretty much off red food coloring. It's just it's not such a dense thing. So it doesn't scream like a classic cupcake, though it's super sweet. So even though it tastes healthier because of the lightness, it's like, I think, twice the sugar. So for a bonus, I'm going to try, I love the Brooklyn Blackout cakes in New York City. Brooklyn Blackout, classic cupcake. It's 3 types of chocolate. I think there's only 2 types of chocolate cake and chocolate ganache. Brooklyn Blackout will have the pudding inside. But I love double chocolate cakes. When I went to Crumbs, my favorite was the double chocolate or the triple chocolate when I go to Georgetown. So let's try to compare. Here's the chocolate dew. Let's try this out. Wow. Very good. The ganache, it's crazy sweet. I think you guys already know, I'm not a fan of sugar overload. If I'm gonna have sugar overload, I'd rather have a candy bar. So it's a bit too sweet. So sweet I can't really taste anything else. But the texture of it is really good. It's really good. I'm gonna have one more bite because I can't finish this. it's a bit too much sugar tasting for me. I'm losing all sense of taste. I just have all sweetness now in my palate. And I'm gonna try the cake out by itself instead of just the ganache. I'll say this. It's a good cupcake. Both the red velvet and the chocolate doom. But there's something about resisting the urge to make a cupcake big, like Crumbs. Though Crumbs has brought the wonders of cupcakes to the nation in the early 2010s, there is something to be said of resisting that urge from making a cupcake twice the size with the same amount of ingredients, and instead sticking to the classic dense cupcake that really is delicious. So now that I have no taste in my taste buds right now because of all the sugar overload, and I tried the cake on its own, it's good because that sugar was sending dopamine into my brain saying, ooh, sweetness, so good. That's the voice of my dopamine, by the way. But it just quite doesn't hit the mark. This is a good cupcake. It's a worthy cupcake. It's a cupcake that deserves to be called one of the best, but it's not the best. Let's try Georgetown Cupcakes. Let's try it. Let me finish up this espresso. But the espresso is delicious. Really, one of the best espressos I've had in Washington, D.C. so far, along with Gray Street coffee. So before I go, I gotta take a huge swig of water in order to wash away all that sugar. Mr. Jones says, we lost a lot of good men in the 2010s Cupcake Wars. We did. Men, women, everyone in between. We've lost many great people. And it deserves a glass of milk. Oh, milk will be pushing the limit for me. But I get it, some people love their milk, so yeah. This might be, if you enjoy your milk with your pastries, it might be a good idea to get something milky with this. Ooh. Oh, sorry, I'm getting like a kind of aftertaste of sugar. All right, let's go Georgetown. Let's go Georgetown. Let's see. The Cupcake Wars continues. Who will win? Alexandria, Baked and Wired, or Georgetown? Hopefully the line isn't too long. But if the line is long, if someone in the comments can make up with some cool game to play in the comments, let me know. Eat a lemon. Yeah, I think I will need a lemon to cleanse my palate. What's my favorite chocolate? My favorite chocolate, I love dark chocolate. As darker, the better. But this one is not, I would not get this over Oven Lee's Brooklyn Blackout Cake in New York. And let's wait for Georgetown. But I've already tried Georgetown in New York City, and well, we'll wait for it to try over here before I continue with my thoughts. But for now, let's go enjoy some history. Here it says, at all hours, every time his boat passed through a lock, a boat captain would put his life and livelihood in the hands of the lock tender. The wooden lock gates were a delicate balance between safety and efficiency. They had to be light enough to allow one man to move them, yet strong enough to hold back 140,000 gallons of water. Wow. So that's lock 4. So if you're mentioning chocolate, company. Venki is one of my favorites. But you recommend Schaffenburger. Ooh, I don't know what that is. Creating a national park. Look around you. The park that you stand in exists because people cared. In January 1954, William O. Douglas of the Supreme Court of the United States of America responded to a Washington Post editorial recommending that the C&O Canal be turned into a parkway. Oh, interesting. So 1954 is when they started making moves. And on March 22nd, 1954, the hike began near Cumberland. Douglas and his companions invited authorities on the natural and cultural history of the Potomac and the C&O Canal. Hikers learned about the canal and enjoyed the scenery. And after the hike, the Post supported setting the new canal as a national park. So we're walking on the national park. All right, so I've been missing a few questions. Feel free to ask again. In fact, there's a book on W.P. Blakely's work. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about Blakely soon. Stay tuned for that as we go to the Exorcist Steps. But before we go to the Exorcist Steps, we're going to continue the war of the cupcakes. And then we can go to the steps of the Exorcist to exorcise the sugar from my soul and from my body.
Nice.
I'm walking faster during the cupcake. Yes, I think I will require a cupcake exorcism. Whew. My heart is beating fast with that cupcake and espresso. I had a Americano right before this broadcast, so I'm hyped for some cupcakes. Virginia says this German chocolate. Thought how you world travel, you heard that chocolate. No, I haven't been to Germany yet. So I really only encountered chocolate from America and France and Italy mostly. All right. Now we have arrived to M Street. Will jogging help? I don't jog. I really don't like running. Red doors are perfect for horror movie history. Oh, yes, they are. So M Street is one of two main thoroughfares here in Georgetown, historically and currently. And we're going to pass by a lot of shops. And cool little arcades. Oh, that's so cool. Häagen-Dazs. Julio says those cupcakes deserve the trash. Everyone, since this is live, I hate to break it to you, but when food bloggers make food vlogs, maybe they be a skinny woman on Instagram. I know a few food bloggers that are women who are very thin, or a guy who's a little bit big. Doesn't really matter. They don't always finish the entire thing. Sometimes they do. But I've done many food vlogs with other food bloggers, and it's not always finished. Because you can't. If you finish all the food that you're eating in these videos, I did that back in 2017, and you can see the result of all that food vlogging. So I take a few bites, and sometimes I take it home, but sometimes I just can't. It's a little bit too much sugar for me, a little bit too much food. Suddenly in the shade, it looks better. Yeah, Facebook blows out with all the lights, unfortunately. Sorry, I said Facebook. I mean the camera. So here's the City Tavern. Let's see what the City Tavern is. First built in 1796. Oh, interesting. 1796, right here. One of the older buildings here. So this was established in 1754, if I recall correctly. So it predates Washington, D.C. And George Washington at first wanted Georgetown to be the nation's capital. As I mentioned in my Alexandria episode yesterday, it quite didn't work out. LOL, Chris. LOL. Beautiful little restaurant.
Look at it. It's made.
Long line of alfresco dining. Yeah, a lot of alfresco dining here, which is nice to see. Happy chick. I really like the sidewalks. It looks nice and clean. It does. And look at this. Oh wow. So beautiful. You can pass. Looks so beautiful. Oh, wow. What food is typical in Georgetown, says Elisa? I don't think anything particular. The cupcakes are famous, as we're seeing right now. This is Dean and DeLuca. This was a famous supermarket also in New York, but it closed down. It was David Bowie's favorite supermarket. But this one is still open, which is nice. King says Georgetown is known for pizza. Interesting, King. What type of pizza? What's the pizzeria? Cobblestone Street. So here we're seeing, here's Belgian blocks, not cobblestones, Belgian blocks. Though colloquially a lot of people call it cobblestones. And these are brick. So yeah, we have a combination. I bet we'll probably see some actual cobblestones as well. In the 1990s, I used to walk across the Key Bridge, says Mr. Jones, buy takeout in Georgetown, and walk back to my office in Roslyn. Whoa, that would be a 45-minute trip, Mr. Jones. Wow, plenty. What food did you really enjoy when you used to work here? There it is, ladies and gentlemen. And no line, yes. Can I walk? It says 15 seconds, yeah. Yes, I can. Gives a colonial feel. Oh, yes. All right, everyone. The finale to the Battle of the Cupcakes, or the war. Let's go. Georgetown Cupcake. Hey. No, do you guys not have for sale?
We don't do any in-store orders anymore. You have to place an order online. The next available pickup is 3 o'clock.
Oh, no. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks. Pickup only. That's a shame. That is a big shame. I don't know why businesses do that. That's a bit weird. Oh, that's disappointing. Well, like T.S. Eliot said about the world coming to an end, this is how the world ends. Not with a bang, but with a whimper. The war has ended with a whimper. They're only open to pre-orders. And I don't condone that type of business practice. All cupcake shops should be open for all, including those who don't want to use their cell phones. Georgetown Cupcake gets a pass. The winner of the Great Cupcake Wars isn't in Georgetown. The Great Cupcake Wars goes down, down, down beyond Washington, across the Potomac, and Alexandria Cupcakes takes the gold. Everyone, the war of the cupcakes has ended, and I won't even bother pre-ordering. That's just not cool. Like, come on, it's a cupcake shop. We produce a lot of cupcakes. So Alexandria Cupcakes gets the crown in Alexandria, Virginia. No way to run the business. Yeah, no way to run a business. No pre-orders and no cash. No, that's pushing the limit over here. Like, I get it with like food, like high-end food. There's like a few high-end restaurants where you can order takeout, or even like a nice homemade pizza. You have to order online. I get that. But cupcakes, they're produced in mass, especially in these places. Like, they make hundreds of them. I think it's a bit unreasonable, in my opinion. Let me know what you think. Now, let's exercise the intense sugar rush that I experienced with Baked and Wired, and visit the Exorcist Steps and make our way to Georgetown University. Have a cocktail instead. I think that might be well merited. Yes. You don't have the cupcakes? Well, I don't have the cash, so it's okay. But let's enjoy the walk along M Street. Cupcakes travel that can get it dry. In this particular bakery, they're baking it in-house, so that's why. Sharon says, "You're right there. Wouldn't it kill her to sell you one?" I couldn't quite use the excuse of saying I don't have a phone because I'm carrying a huge phone. So I wish I could use that excuse. The Exorcist music gives you the creeps. Well, if you're watching right now, put that on. I know it gives you the creeps. It's quite a haunting song. Here is the Forest. Here's the Forest Marbury House, 1788. And this is a category landmark, National Register of Historic Places. Site of the dinner hosted by General Uriah Forrest. Tocio said I can order them in advance. As a matter of principle, I would not do that. It's cupcakes is something I don't think one needs to order in advance. Cupcake is something that in a spur of the moment, as you're walking along a beautiful area of town, you get inspired to buy a cupcake in order to have a nice little treat as you're walking around. That's the beauty of cupcakes. Cupcake is not something to order in advance. Maybe you do it if you're having a party. But on principle, I wouldn't pre-order. I'll maybe pre-order like a huge cake or a pastry that is a little bit more time intensive, like a cronut, or a good, fried treat, like a cool Queen Amman, but not a cupcake. You don't deserve my business. Not for me personally. So that's my thinking behind it. To me, cupcakes, something you grab and go. It's like ordering in advance for like a McDonald's hamburger or like a fast food hamburger. That'll be just silly, in my opinion. They're probably not baked fresh though. So they make hundreds in the morning. So they're probably selling you something that's already packed from the morning. They're not baking it to order. I know this because I've been to Georgetown a few times, and they don't do that. Ooh, so here's a bike path. Where does this go? Oh, look at this. So cool. So, let's go down the path. I think this would be a cool route. So let's go down the path. I never know how to say Queen Amman, says Stephanie. Oh yeah, apparently that's how it's pronounced, Queen Amman. Check out, let's see what's over here. Off to the Wizard. I smell a bench test. Oh, bench test will be incoming at some point. But be sure to also read my brutal review of a brutalist bench that I wrote earlier today. It's a photo I posted on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So here we have to walk along the canal. But beautiful, look at the views. And there's Rosslyn. Is that known as Rosslyn or Arlington? Let me know in the comments. Cute Ridge, yeah. Mr. Jones, no need to do that, Mr. Jones. I use a fountain pen and an ink with a wax seal for greater effects with Mr. Jones. He's writing a angry letter. No need to do that, Mr. Jones. No need. All right, we'll go this way instead. That entire movie had me sleeping for the lights on. Oh, a lot of people are scared of The Exorcist. Well, we're going to learn about the crazy history of The Exorcist. We're going to find where this staircase is, how to get to it. Oh, I love the ending part of your review. Oh, I'm glad. Hey, from Philly, Robert, thank you so much for tuning in live. Hope you're doing well. All right, let's see how we can get to the staircase. Is there a walkway here? It's a bit confusing. There's a bridge. Thank you, Adam. So Rosslyn is the metro stop, but the city is called Arlington. Thank you. So we'll go through here. Okay, you wouldn't watch a horror film on your own. I don't blame you. I don't really watch horror films either. I'm not a big fan. But I did watch The Exorcist many years ago, and I frankly was bored by The Exorcist #1. I enjoyed The Exorcist 4. It was really good. But the making of The Exorcist, I think, is way more interesting than even the movie itself. So let's wiggle away towards the staircase. Todd, is this going to end up with boxes of cupcakes sent to my Airbnb? No need for that. No need for that. Great review. You encapsulate my thoughts eloquently, says Ronald, referring to my brutal review of a brutalist bench. Thank you, Ronald. I'm glad I did. Hey, Elisa, thank you. I have 39.997 likes. How did it get there? How did it get to not a round number? You have to understand, for its time, it was a novel film with great effects. Yes, Justine, I do recognize that. I do acknowledge that. So a little bit of backstory. Actually, I'd rather cross first. So I'll skip a little bit further ahead of the story. The Exorcist was a very interesting movie for its time. It did push a lot of boundaries when it comes to the depiction of the Roman Catholic Church. But even people in the Vatican thought it was a great film about the test of faith. But mainstream Hollywood was shocked by it. Critics absolutely bashed it, thinking it was an overly indulgent film, vulgar, occult claptrap, one of the reviewers said. But audiences loved it. Some loved it, or some felt in a very visceral way. When The Exorcist aired in theater, or was showcased in theaters in 1971, there were reports of people all around the country vomiting due to its extreme nature. One woman apparently, unfortunately, had a miscarriage during it, which is a very sad tale. Another man had a heart attack. Another man was so deeply impacted by the movie that he ended up running towards the screen, saying he was going to vanquish the devil himself. And that way, the film started gathering controversy. Whoa, this is hilly as hell. Whoa, that is some extreme hills. Sounds like PR hype. It might be. Part of it might be. You're afraid how you think felt her entire career, says Jacqueline. Yes, of course. Hey, how's it going? What? YouTube. I mean, it's Urbanist. Urbanist on YouTube. What? I vlog about cities and exploring history. Yeah. Are you guys from Washington? Yeah? Awesome. Have a good day. So they were waving. They were asking me what I vlog about, which is history of cities. New fans, yeah. Been gathering a lot of new fans today. That hill's nothing like the hills in San Francisco. All right. It's good to know. San Fran sounds intense. Cha-cha-ching on the sub count. Indeed, indeed. Here we are. The ominous steps of the Exorcist. So, the house we passed by right down there was the one featured in its exterior. And in the movie, there's a scene. Well, let me tell you a little bit more about the movie. I think people are working out up and down the steps. Let's walk up the steps. It's a little bit more shadowy up there. But really cool. Everyone, I get very distracted because sometimes I see something cool like this. What is this? A soul window. That's so awesome. It's just like a ominous window. Where does it lead? Who knows? So all of Georgetown is a historic district, and the Exorcist Steps are a historic landmark now of DC. So it says these iconic steps were featured in William Friedkin's 1973 Warner Brothers, so I misspoke, I said 1971, 1973 classic motion picture based on the novel and screenplay by William Peter Blatty, The Exorcist. In the film's climactic ending, Father Karras, actor Jason Miller, plummets to the 75 steps to his death. This was commemorated on October 30th, 2015. All right, let's walk it. Wish me luck, everyone. Exorcist, a film about a young girl being possessed by the devil himself, or a demon maybe claiming to be the devil. The demon said that he goes by thousands of names. I am Legion. In the film, the father, who was the younger one, accompanied the older one, played by Max van Sydow, ends up getting frustrated because he is killed. And he takes out his anger and rage on the little possessed girl, played by Linda Blair, and he goes and chokes her to death. So, in that moment of rage, there's a great scene where you see his eyes turning evil. His eyes turn the same color as the little possessed girl. And he realizes for a quick second, the film was about him having a crisis of faith. Of course, he wasn't sharing that publicly, but he inside didn't know whether the Lord was here, whether God even listened, whether he was even worth being a priest. And he chokes the girl, trying to basically kill the demon forcefully. And he realizes his evil. And in a panic of him succumbing to evil, jumps out of the window and tumbles down all these steps to his death. But when William Friedkin was filming this movie, he was a perfectionist. Some people might even call him a little bit of a dick. That's how they would say that here in the US. I'm not entirely sure the full story, but apparently the stunt double who did the jump, it wasn't quite convincing enough for that first time. So he asked them to jump again. All these steps. And the stunt double was pretty damn beaten up. And William Friedkin goes down to the stunt double as he's down, already doing it twice. And he says, all right, let's do a take 3. And the stunt double absolutely refuses. But this wasn't the only time William Friedkin, the director, ended up freaking out his own crew. because there was a moment where Linda Blair, the little possessed girl, the actress, she ended up doing a scene where she screams, "Stop, it's hurting me, stop," something along those lines, "Stop, it's hurting me." She was like being tossed around. And she screams during the shoot, "Stop, it's hurting me, stop." And they thought, oh wow, she's very convincing. She's doing a great job at yelling, "Stop, please, stop." And they find out towards the end of that take that she was genuinely screaming because she was being badly injured. There was another scene where Max von Sydow, probably one of the more respected actors of his time. Is he still alive or did he recently pass away? Let me know. I know he did a movie very recently. He has a scene where he's compelling the demon to be exorcised from the little girl, and the ceiling starts cracking above him. It's actually a really cool scene. So I said that I found the scene the movie a little bit boring. That was my personal opinion, but that scene specifically is really impressive because it's all shot in that same take. Usually in Hollywood, they would edit that aside. They would show the face of the priest saying, "May the power of the Lord compel you," and then they'll do a separate shot of the ceiling cracking. But they do that all in one shot, in one frame. So it's like him, "May the power of the Lord compel you," and pff, the ceiling cracks. But apparently when Max von Sydow was saying that line, William Friedman did not find it convincing. And he asked them to do it again. And they had to crack another ceiling. It was special effects, so they had to build a new ceiling and crack it. And they had 3 ceilings. And they did it again. And he was saying it quiet. And then they do it again. They build another set of ceilings, 3 more. And by the time they're finished with those 3 ceilings, the director's like, "What is wrong, man? Why are you doing this so quiet?" And Max says, "Well, sometimes quiet is a bit more sharper." However, the director wasn't quite convinced by that excuse, because to him it sounded more like an excuse rather than an actor trying to express a decision. And Max says, "You know what? I actually don't quite believe that this character, this priest who's experienced an exorcism, would scream off the top of his lungs with that line." Well, William ends up thinking about it, and he says, "Well, you are a priest. You've seen everything, especially being an expert exorcist. But this one really pushes the luck on your faith." And he, for a short second, is consumed with anger. And Max, contemplates that and then says the line, and it's perfect. But before that ended up happening, let's go to the very beginning of The Exorcist. How did William Friedkin even get to this movie? Well, he made The French Connection, which ended up being a gigantic hit, ended up winning Oscars, ended up garnering a bunch of fame. He was pretty young at that point. He was touted to be the next Orson Welles. And as he's going to the Oscars, in a beautiful limousine, or a Rolls Royce, he was going to the Rolls Royce, the Rolls Royce breaks down, and he has 1 hour to get to the Oscars. But the nearest taxi is going to take longer than that. He stops at a random gasoline station, and there's no car repair shop. He asked the guy, "Hey, is there any car repair shop nearby?" He's like, "Oh no, you're not going to need a car repair shop. You're going to need a new dealer," because the car was absolutely wrecked, and he couldn't get there on time. But he saw there was another man parked right behind them who was driving, and he asked him, "Hey, where are you driving to?" "I'm driving to Pasadena." And Pasadena was the opposite direction of the Oscars. And he's like asking him, "Oh, well, can you drive me to the Oscars? I really have to go." And he's like, no, I'm going to go over to, my wife is waiting for me because we're all going to watch the Oscars together. And he asks okay, what movie are you rooting for? The French Connection. It's like, I'm the director of that. If you don't take me to the Oscars, I won't win. And he ends up going to the Oscars. But that same night, he ends up coming across a book. And that book is written by William Blady. So let me show you a photo of Friedkin right here. This is the director. Ended up directing The Sorcerer, The French Connection, of course The Exorcist, and many other films. And the writer, do I have a photo of the writer? This is the movie right here. I ended up finding the script to The Exorcist. And this is the scene that transpired down these steps right here. Just heard gunshots. And they stopped working out? Oh, cool. They stopped working out. Well, let's get back to the stairs. Because the story gets even more interesting. It's a really crazy story, despite it just being stairs. So he randomly bumps into this screenplay, or to this book that William Blady actually wanted it to be adapted to a film. William Blady actually attended Georgetown University. And this was the famous stairs that he used to take to go up to the bar. At the bar over here, there was a very grim named bar. And this was the main hangout. But he was always freaked out by these stairs. He called them the Hitchcock Steps. So they end up getting the movie made. William Blady ends up writing the screenplay, and they're already starting to shoot in New York City at a studio in Hell's Kitchen. The address of that studio is 666. I'm not joking with you, literally. As he's about to film in that studio, the studio gets a call from one of his assistants. And he says, hey, don't come into work today. He's like, why? Well, the entire studio burnt, the entire set burnt down. And he was like, are you joking with me? This is very serious. And he's like, no, I am serious. All throughout the early filming, lights stopped going off. People were late. Actors couldn't say their line because they felt very uncomfortable, weird presence. It was plagued with so many weird coincidences. So William Friedkin ends up deciding, okay, I don't know what's happening. It's not the fault of the set. The set just burned down. I have no other choice but to hire a Catholic priest to come into the building and to bless it. So the Catholic priest comes in, blesses the building, and no more problems arise from mysterious forces. The only problems that arise is what I said in the beginning. It was William Friedkin and his perfectionism. So that is a story of the Exorcist Steps, or also known as the Hitchcock Steps. But I actually have one little more anecdote. This is called the Hitchcock Steps, which is mentioned in the book. Before French Connection was ever nominated for an Oscar, and before William Friedkin even knew about The Exorcist that night, he ends up yelling to Hitchcock, which he sees over there with his family during the Oscars. And he's a little bit pissed off because a few years before, Hitchcock publicly made fun of William for not wearing a tie to one of these events. So he yells at him, hey, Hitchcock, look, I got a tie. And then that book mysteriously lands on his lap. So, very interesting tale. So right there, one more time, the Hitchcock Steps. Now, let's continue on to our journey to Georgetown University. I hope all you guys enjoyed that story. And there's a sign over here. Here it says, Hollywood on the Potomac. Think of Georgetown as the real-life equivalent of MGM backlot. Hollywood has used Georgetown as a backdrop for drama, comedy, intrigue, and horror. You are standing near the 75 steps that figured prominently in The Exorcist, perhaps the most famous movie made in Georgetown. And also all the President's Men. Look. Helicopters are coming. All the President's Men, about the investigative reports of Watergate, was also shot in Georgetown. And in No Way Out with Kevin Costner. Deep Impact as well, the asteroid movie. Not Armageddon, the other one. And in Minority Report, interesting. Minority Report is a street in the future with no parked cars or pedestrians. Oh, that's funny. That is so cool. And also Arnold Schwarzenegger shops at Georgetown in True Lies. And Will Smith lives here in Enemy of the State. Oh, that's so cool. So many movies here. And of course, 24, I love that series. And The West Wing. That's so awesome. So black helicopter, no, this one was yellow, so it wasn't a Black Hawk. It was in a Department of Defense helicopter. So the bar I was referring to earlier, that William Blady, who was a student of Georgetown, came and visited, was the Tombs. Yep. This bar was literally called the Tombs above the Exorcist Steps. Now The Exorcist is partly inspired by true events. There was a little boy who was apparently possessed, and he was, I think, either Episcopalian or Protestant. I think he was Lutheran, and he was possessed in Maryland. And of course, in Protestant tradition, they really don't have exorcists, as far as I know. The ones that have exorcists are Catholics and probably the other denominations, like Eastern Orthodox. And there's an official exorcist who talked about some crazy stories. And they hired him to exorcise the demon from that little boy. And it was a very big story in 1949. And here we have the Romanesque main building of Georgetown University. This is the place where William Blady called his school haunted. For that, let's get closer. There we go, I'm back. Okay, good. The St. Elmo's Fire Bar was featured in the 1990s. Oh, cool. And it was based on the Tombs Georgetown Bar. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Thank you for letting us know, Mr. Jones. You have awesome facts about Georgetown. Thank you. Everyone give a round of hearts to Mr. Jones on YouTube for lending some awesome facts. I haven't been able to read all of them, but I'm pretty far away from people. So after telling that story, I feel exercised from all that sugar and climbing those steps. So if you ever get possessed by too much sugar, too much buttery cupcakes, and the overdose of coffee, and you feel like the forces of caffeination stir within you, climbing those stairs is a great way to let it out. Oh yeah. But there's more stairs. And Brutalist architecture. Pazuzu is a name for caffeination and sugar rush. Oh, cool. Bench behind. This is a bit too too much of a collegiate bench. Let's go a little bit. Let's see if we can find a good historic bench. But wait, there's more. Yep, this is our last stop. Georgetown University. Brutalism, yeah, brutalism and Romanesque architecture. So let's sit on this bench. The bench right here, unsuspecting, amongst steps, between a haunted staircase. No, not these. These ones, says Elisa. No, not these ones. Bench test, I think. Let me know. Would you want me to review this bench? I'll leave it out to the public. Should we review this bench? It's an unsuspecting bench. It's a Romanesque revival bench between a haunted staircase and a haunted college building. Should we review this bench? And this is not brutalism, it's postmodern. Yeah, you could say that. But you know, it's not raw concrete. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's more postmodern. Yeah, you're right. But it looks brutalism to I think the typical person who doesn't really know too much about architecture. Let's review it. Is it haunted? Is this the haunted bench? Let's see. Let's review this bench. Will the power of the Lord compel me to sit on this bench? I'm being bitten by a mosquito. So there's no bird poo, but there is mosquitoes. The view is nice. It's right by a haunted staircase. It's actually pretty comfy. It's cold stone. And you can lean back, but you can lean back to a bunch of moss. So it might stain if you're wearing a white shirt. Otherwise, it's an interesting bench. It's a bench you wouldn't expect. So rather than it being a bad bench, it's a good bench. Mostly because of its unexpected location. Here I'm looking down a random street in Georgetown, sitting on what seems to be Romanesque revival. So getting bit mosquitoes, so points off. It's not the most comfortable bench, but it's not uncomfortable. So that guy saw me talking alone, must have thought I was going mad. Indeed, it happens. It happens. So it's a good bench to talk by yourself and freak all the students out in this very expensive college. And it has an interesting view. So this bench is a weird bench, and it gets good points for being a weird bench. So for its weirdness, I will give it a 6 out of 10. Not the best bench, but not the worst, but it is weird. And people watching is nothing interesting because there's a bunch of college people. They're not necessarily always the best dressed. But if you're there talking either by yourself or on the Bluetooth, people will think you're weird. And that might be an interesting way to spend the day. Nice bench. I got bitten by a lot of mosquitoes. So let me drink some water. I'm gonna put the camera down for a little bit before I tell you more of this story. Happy Chick. What makes it weird is the area. It's it's an odd location. It's on the steps, so you can see down. It's not like a typical bench where you usually face a park or on the side of the street. It's an odd bench. That's why. This town has a lot of steps. It's very high, as I told you. Ah, that feels good. Oh yeah. I'm satisfied. Drink a couple of bottles for me for about a week. Yeah, dude. The clock. There's a tradition with the students of Georgetown University to sneak up to the tower of the Healy building in order to steal the hands of the clock. But if you're a student in the past few decades, it's a bit difficult because the first 4 floors of this university is accessible by elevator and accessible via stairs. But the elevator does not run to the 5th floor, and the stairs are actually locked off. So, Georgetown University was established in 1789 by a Jesuit father, John Carroll. But wait a minute. There were Catholics here before the Irish? Yes, there were. Due to some political turmoil in England, the Roman Catholics were ousted from England once and for all, the ones who decided to resist against Anglicanism. However, a few Jesuits stayed in England and they also were ousted. And the Jesuits, who were an order started by Loyola, Ignacio Loyola, they were mostly an intellectual sect of the Roman Catholic Church. They were dedicated to learning and higher learning, dedicated to teaching as well, and keeping knowledge. They end up leaving to Maryland. And Maryland, that's where they set up their first colony. So Maryland was started by Jesuits who were Roman Catholic. However, he ended up coming here in order to start a university. In 1789, this was the very first Roman Catholic university in the entire United States of America. Catholicism didn't really get big until the Irish came here in mass in the mid-1800s, and then later the Italians as well, and of course later the Hispanics in recent history. So the thing is with this university, it's actually not mostly attended by Catholics. The Catholic Church does not really have too much control over it. The Jesuits do, but the Catholics, at least from the Vatican's perspective, don't have too much control. Unlike other universities such as, say, St. John's University in Queens, New York. So here there are cannons. Yeah, oh yeah, there's cannons. And this is how the university looked like back in the early 1800s or mid 1800s. Like those cannons. Oh yeah. Stephanie, you're a French Canadian. Oh cool. Nice guns. Oh yeah. Big building. Then to warn against enemies. And you probably need coconut water after all these walks. Oh, that would be nice. I'm going to have a huge sparkling water, though. They ring for the hour to tell the time. Yeah, they do. Is this a student dormitory? No. This is a... Well, I think it partly was before, but no longer. I think it's just the main building, as far as I know. So let me show you. Bradley Cooper is a graduate of Georgetown. Oh, yes, he is. I'll tell you the haunted history of Healy Hall. Let's wait until these tourists from Maryland take their photos. And Allen Iverson. Oh, cool. Allen Iverson. Let me know who else. Bill Clinton, also graduate of Georgetown. There's another U.S. president who was a graduate of Georgetown. Let me know who was the other one. Romanesque revival style, though it has looks a lot like English Gothic due to the stone that they use, but it is Romanesque because look at those windows. If they were pointed, they would be Gothic. So it's a very heavy building as opposed to another type. Judge Scalia. Oh, interesting. Judge Scalia. Cool. Awesome. Alonzo Mourning. I don't think he graduated. Oh, interesting. Who's Alonzo Mourning? Let me know. And let's see a little bit of the university before I tell you about this. I'll show you a few more of the other buildings and then we'll come back around. Let's go. My brother-in-law graduated from here, says Justine. Oh, cool, but he's not famous. Well, that's awesome. It's so cool that he graduated here. Really prestigious school. So this is one of the most prestigious schools in the US, along with the ranks of Harvard, Columbia. I think it's considered Ivy League, if anyone could clarify. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's Ivy League. This side is Gothic. No, this side is not Gothic. Nope. Oh, it's Romanesque. Lyndon Johnson. Lyndon Johnson was the other one? Cool. There's 19,000 students. Oh, yes. This is the Gonda Theater. Ooh, cool name. Old North, built in 1795. I'll tell you about the haunted history of this at the end. Let's just walk around these few buildings. Cool fire escape. Wow, look at that. Feels like the campus from Dead Poets Society. Yep. Olivier says not Gothic nor Roman. It is considered Romanesque according to the architects. But I do know what you mean. It doesn't look like either. So this is the second building for Georgetown College. The North Building is the second oldest building on campus. Completed in 1809, as the Old North stands on the north side of the quadrangle, also known as the Quad, and remains as one of the outstanding landmarks of Georgian architecture. Oh, cool, Georgian architecture. Georgian as in time during King George, not Georgian as the country of Georgia. And it's in its original use, the building's first floor served as the home of the library. Ooh, so here should be where the library is located. Right here. Love the old style windows. Yeah, me too. It's really cool. All right, we got a golf cart. Let's use it. It's like Grand Theft Auto. This is the New North Building, built in 1925. Uh-oh, I think we reached a dead end. So I'll show you what's down here. Legendary basketball player Patrick Ewing was here. Oh, cool, in Georgetown. Oh, that's awesome. Patrick Ewing, very famous. So there's the field. LBJ dropped out of Georgetown. Oh, interesting. Oh, LBJ. Oh, Captain, my Captain. And it is a private university, yeah. It's not public. All right, let's see if we can go around here. Christian said, what Ariel said, I concur. Oh, cool. Cool, Christian, thank you. Glad you do. Georgetown, yeah, famous, but not doesn't have quite the cachet as Harvard in terms of international fame, but it's quite famous. At least in America, it's pretty well known. B. Griffin says, another place besides cemeteries I like to visit is college campuses. Where are the students? There are none. They've all gone due to a pandemic that has ravaged the world. Yep, that's why there's no one. Here's the Jesuit community. Ooh, this is a theological center. Also, they have theological studies here. That's awesome. Is there a chapel on this campus? Yep, right here, right here. So they do have Jesuit studies and they're still associated with the Jesuits. So cool. Opening doors to engage our Catholic and Jesuit heritage. I think I like Columbia more. Yeah, Columbia is very pretty. This one has a little bit more of a classical style to it. Students go here to pray that they pass, yeah. is indeed beautiful. Oh, there's one way. Oh, I can go down. The bell tolls. But for whom does it toll? So beautiful church. Has a look that looks a little bit more Anglican / Episcopalian. Doesn't quite look like a Catholic church, at least in the traditional sense. So very interesting looking church. I wonder if they built it more kind of Episcopalian in order to be a little bit on the down low of the society that was around. It was very anti-papal, the society during the 1780s, all the way to about 1910s, 1920s. Americans, the typical white Anglo-Saxon Protestant American, was heavily against Catholics. And especially during the Irish era, they were heavily persecuted against. So let's go once again to Healy Hall and talk about the very interesting history and haunted tales of this building to end our tour. So I hope you enjoyed this thus far. The campus is open. Yeah. That's the case with a lot of campuses in the US. They're open. I haven't really ever encountered a campus. Have I? No, I haven't encountered really that many campuses where I can't walk. David, have you? Let me know. How are campuses in your area? So first, the man who's considered the second father of Georgetown University, his name was Father Patrick Healy, the namesake of this building. But Patrick Healy has a very impressive tale because he was born a slave. But wait a minute. He was born enslaved in America, and to be rather straightforward, he doesn't quite look like the other ones in the US. So why is that? And I'm talking about history, so of course I'm not expressing any personal opinions. I'm just saying what happened in history. And the thing is, with American history during the era of the institution of slavery all the way till the Civil War, was that in many states, if you were 1/8 black, you will be considered black. Doesn't matter if you're white with blue eyes and blonde, you will be considered black. Some states even was more extreme than that. Some of them even said 1/16. But there was an official court ruling that said 1/8. And of course, it would be egregious if that was considered nowadays. But back then they did a court case and they said 1/8 is considered black. Patrick Healy was 1/8 black. He was mostly Irish. His mother was mostly Irish. His father too. But despite him being of a fair complexion, not really looking like a typical African American, he was considered black nonetheless, and he was born into slavery, just like his entire family. So how did he become a father? He luckily had it a bit easier than, unfortunately, the many lives who were stolen due to the institution of slavery. He ended up being able to go to school, to join the Jesuit order, and become a father. And as he became a father and rose up the ranks, he bought himself out of slavery. I think he did, or something along those lines. He was accepted out of slavery. And he came over here to Georgetown. And he ended up getting the position of being the president of Georgetown University, the second major president. He's known as the second founding father of this university. Because Patrick Healy, despite his upbringing, despite everything against him, even if he was 1/8 black, he did not hide the fact that he was black, but he still called himself Irish American. But even calling yourself Irish American in that time, in the mid-1800s, was taboo. So even that was taboo. Nonetheless, many of the staff of this university was very hesitant to make him president, but he was so good at his job. They were concerned that due to his background, he would not be accepted either within the city of Georgetown or with the Vatican. But he was accepted nonetheless, and he ended up completely changing the university. The university was going through tough financial trouble. It was not the rich university it is today with a massive endowment. It was struggling. And he changed everything with his great management skills. And that's why he's considered the second founding father of this university. So he ended up getting through all that, and the hall is named after his honor. But I was talking a little bit earlier. There's an elevator to the 4th floor, but there's no elevator to the 5th. And if you go inside, and this is according to the Haunted History of Georgetown book, which has historical sources. So apparently, according to the sources listed there, it is real history. The doors are locked for the 5th floor, which is rather strange. Well, that is the real history. That's the real situation right now. But let's go into the speculation as to why. Well, the legends, and this is not real history, this is speculation, this is legends. But the legends say that a young priest over 100 years ago was at this very hall, and they had a library inside, and he took a book, a mysterious book with some Latin passages. The book did not seem like anything he has ever seen before. If you ever read The Voyage or seen the Voyage manuscript, it was something along those lines. The thing is, as he started flipping through the pages, he went to the 5th floor, according to legend. Again, this is not confirmed history, this is legend. He ended up going to the 5th floor, flipping through the pages, and he noticed that it was Latin, but it was weirdly written. It was a bit off. He quite couldn't tell why. So he tries reading it out loud. Maybe by reading it out loud, he'll be able to somehow get some sense as to what this book is about. Why is it written in a weird Latin? And as he reads it aloud, according to legend, a portal to another realm opens. Now, this legend is talked about with the university students, so it has been repeated over the generations. And this portal to another realm was apparently so dark, so demonic, that they had to completely shut down the entire 5th floor, locked to this very day, because they couldn't shut down the portal again due to the mysterious language of this book, and probably they did not want to take the risk of reading any more passages. Okay, so that's the legend. Pretty far-fetched legend. But what is the more, a little bit more of the likely story? As B. Griffin says, that sounds like a likely story. Well, I'll tell you a little bit more of the likely story. Students here have a tradition where they go up to the very top of this building, past the 5th floor, up the tower, to steal the hands of the clock. But what do they do with the hands of the clock? Let me show it to you. So according to tradition, and this is history, this has happened various times according to various sources. You can find it in the Haunted History of Georgetown book. I'll link in the comments afterwards. According to many accounts reported in many newspapers, students over the generations have stolen the hands of this clock. And what they do with the hands of this clock is that they end up sending it to the Vatican in a box that is said, "Return to sender." So it says "Return to sender" to the Vatican. I'm not sure what they fully mean by that. Maybe it's a little jab at the papacy. Maybe it's in good fun. I'm not entirely sure why. But apparently it got so bad that the university, and it was dangerous, because in another incident, a student wanted to surprise another student, his friend, that was in a few rooms down. I'm not sure what was the occasion, but he ended up going out the ledge in order to surprise his friend in the other room. Rather than go through the hallway, he ended up going out in the ledge. He wanted to surprise him through the window. They ended up trying to go on the ledge, and this is also based on a true story. This is real. He ended up going on the ledge, and as he was going down, he lost his footing, fell down, and died. I think the combination of the students stealing the hands of the clock and that other student dying a few decades ago, foolishly, unfortunately, they end up locking up the 5th floor. So what is the likely scenario? Who knows? What do you think? Anyways, that is Georgetown University. And someone earlier said, legend has it that Ariel didn't get Georgetown cupcakes. I did not. I did not get cupcakes. The winner of the War of Cupcakes is Alexandria. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Let me show you one more time. Georgetown University is pretty much of a bummer to end on. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. I laugh more out of nervousness. Sorry to end on a bummer note. That is a sad tale. And I don't know. I wish I had something a little bit more cheery to talk about, but that's basically it about Georgetown. There's a lot of cool historic architecture if you keep walking around. Let me show you more of the building one more time. I think they found a mysterious book and stained the corners you don't want to lick. I suggest you visit every Georgetown bar where Ted Kennedy had a drink, but you don't have that kind of time. And yeah, Mr. Jones, John F. Kennedy, lived nearby. He did. Thanks, Ariel, says Elisa. Bye. Not at all. Pity we can't discuss orally. And Kate says bye for Florida. Welcome. And that's okay. Look forward to the bus tour later. Thanks for another great history lesson. And man, I'm cold, says King. Oh, you are. And I missed a few questions. Sorry about that. Address unknown. The address is Georgetown University. If someone could put it down. And Taylor Swift attended this university. Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. And I missed a lot of questions. Sorry about that, everyone. Sometimes when I tell stories, I get in the zone about these stories. But stay tuned. Later tonight at 7:30 p.m., I'll be doing a special bus tour through the monuments at night. And I think that will be, someone is guiding it. I think someone will be doing the narration over it. So I won't be able to speak through it, but I hope you enjoy it. 7:30 p.m. tonight, and then 1 p.m. will be 11 a.m. tomorrow. I'm actually being joined by an amazing tour guide who also is a YouTuber. His name is Trip Hacks DC. His name is Rob. He's really awesome. He knows so much about DC. He's actually collaborated with some very big YouTubers like Walter's World. So I'm so excited to feature him tomorrow on the live video tour through the Capitol area. So stay tuned at 11 a.m. for that as well. And at 1 p.m. I'll be back for another broadcast. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. See you at 7:30 p.m. And I'm going to stay away from this 5th floor because I do not want to enter through another realm. I really enjoy this earthly realm, and I'm going to stay here until when I'm like 170. All right, everyone, keep being awesome and always keep on exploring. Have a great day, everyone.